This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.
Oh my God, I love you so much!
On 97.7 FM, The City.
Blessings and good fortune, everybody. We are back. 97.7 KCYP, The City, out of McAllen, Texas. We're also going out on YouTube. We're going out on Facebook. We're going out on TuneIn Radio and Radio Garden apps. Yes, and yes. We are here. Thank God we are here. Had to take a brief respite last week, but we are back. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. And today we will talk about whatever you want to talk about. We'll get into some stuff, but man, we have some crazy stuff going on. Let me just log in to the wires, as it were, and I'd like to give you a few things that are going on that has basically gone on for thousands of years now. I am referring to the verse of the day, ladies and gentlemen. We're looking at Romans 14:19. Today's verse says this: "Let us therefore make every effort to do what leads to peace and to mutual edification." Ladies and gentlemen, these are words to live by. I do my best. But those around me say I fail sometimes. So we keep trying, right? We keep trying. But I would like to bring peace as far as it is in my control. And one of the biggest parts of this show is to help edify the people that, just like you, that are listening, that are participating in this show. And I like to say I'm at least trying to do my part to keep the peace and edify. Now, you might say, yeah, but Otter, a lot of your commentary is pretty inflammatory. Well, I'll tell you what, when I was asleep, when I wasn't paying attention, that sometimes was the only thing that brought my attention to bear on any subject, was somebody saying something that sounded ridiculous. Then when you look into it, such as, hey, the Federal Reserve is a private institution that's been robbing us for generations. Somebody, a normie watches the news every day. What, are you crazy? What are you talking about? It's an August edification of whatever the news tells them, right? But it's a lie. And once they dig in and find that lie, we found ourselves another ally in the fight against fake news, right? So that is one example of how inflammatory statements, or at the very least, odd statements, something that diverges from the mainstream, which is something we all ought to do more often than not. So I'm going to go into the Facebook, various Facebook accounts here. Now, as you know, the Christopher Ott feed that has friends there, 800 some. That one is being strangled. That one is see, we're saying things here that Facebook doesn't like, because Facebook is probably populated predominantly by communists. But I mean, that's just a guess, right? Based on the reaction to many things and how they run their system. And especially since it started out as a program, an op, if you will. It was an operation called LifeLog out of the three-letter agencies. And in the day that LifeLog died, Facebook was born. They came out with this guy that they call Zuckerberg, and decided that, hey, this guy's going to be our founder. We're going to make up a story about it. And Marcos, good to see you. Barry, good to see you. I had a conversation with Barry today. That was great, man. Great to reconnect with you, Barry. He's doing some stuff in retirement, and man, it's something I look forward to. I really do. Marcos, same. I really hope you're doing all right also. You guys are welcome to chime in on whatever it is you want to talk about today. I've got a list of stuff that is flying around there, and it's a storm of fecal matter, as it were, because man, these people are going crazy over what used to be considered sound practices. Hey, this person's in the United States illegally. What do you say we get rid of them? Well, wait a minute. What are you talking about? We invited them here. They're voting. Mostly they won't admit that, but that is the truth. That is the case. So let me see here. I'm going to get you some economic barometer stuff here. So I'm going to go into the Texas Precious Metals website, texmetals.com. They have a, they don't pay me anything. They don't sponsor me for nothing, but they have a vault, if you will. They have their facilities in Shiner, Texas. So here we are in the Valley, about 6 hours away, I think, looking at it. So it's $50.94 for an ounce of silver, $4,087 for an ounce of gold. So Bitcoin has been going down, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people have a lot of theories. I have my own. It's at $86,800. So if this is me, I'm not a financial advisor, okay, but I'm trying to be as logical as I can. With the knowledge that people are buying Bitcoin more than ever, with the knowledge that corporations are buying Bitcoin more than ever, the knowledge is that, and it's obviously out there, nation states are buying Bitcoin more than ever. And states within the beloved United States of America, individually, such as Texas, just like us, we are buying as Texans Bitcoin. So how is it going down? Well, I would say, and this is just me, I'm uneducated, right? But I would tend to believe that all of these ETFs attached to our beloved Bitcoin have done something in some way or form to manipulate, perhaps. I don't know. I mean, if people think that they can short the Bitcoin on the ETFs and then the price of actual Bitcoin will go down globally, I don't know. Maybe that's the case. Maybe not. I hope what it is a retrace to previous levels before an explosion. But who am I? I'm just a guy with a podcast and a dream. Anyway, I will tell you one thing, that I'm looking at. My favorite project is Theta. And I can go on and on about Theta, and I won't, because I know there's not a ton of people that really appreciate it. But at the same time, Dan, good to see you. According to numerology, says Dan. Yeah, well, we're all guessing at this point, brother. We're all guessing at this point. The fact of the matter is, and I'm telling you guys right. Okay, there we go. Next year, Bitcoin enemy year. Well, maybe. BlackRock, says Barry. Yeah, isn't that interesting? So BlackRock, let's put it this way, there's two schools of thought on the BlackRock purchasing Bitcoin. One says, well, hey, they want a piece of the pie, which is logical because everybody wants a piece of the Bitcoin pie, right? And if you don't get it, even if you don't like it, you're going to find at one point or another, let's just say like a nation state, if they don't get Bitcoin and then Bitcoin becomes something that is necessary for international trade, they're behind the eight ball. So even people that don't really believe in it are purchasing it because, well, everybody else is, So, and then the other school of thought is that BlackRock is purchasing it to sell at intervals that will mitigate against the banana phase, as Raoul Paul says. I'll tell you what, man, I really hope the banana phase happens. I hope it happens as soon as possible. But a lot of guys, a lot of people, a lot of pundits are saying that it's a 2026 thing, which, hey, whatever. If we follow, and that the proverbial we, the royal we, right, as the dude says, if we follow logic, we will not be investing money that we need to pay a car note, the house, the apartment, debt. We won't be using that money, hopefully, to invest in crypto. So I am round tripping, not a lot of money, but a lot of cryptos all the way back from 2021. So to see or to contemplate that the bull run is over before it really even got started is not a good thing for me to think about. But hey, worse things have happened, right? That's why I say that we can't use money that we really, really need to get into these crypto markets because they're so volatile. But whatever thing you want to do with your money is your thing. That's you. You do that. I can't remember exactly where the interest rates are at, but the interest rates last week probably weren't as it's going to stay around the same. I don't think the Fed is lowered too much, so it's probably around the 6 something. But early 2000s, I think it was after 2008 they lowered it, and it got down to like, I don't know, 3 or something, 3 or 4. So if you think that it's going to get lower, great. If not, if you have to get a house, man, I mean, we don't have a choice, right? But I hope that sooner than later, we will see some relief on that. So there's a lot of things going on in politics, and one of them is this woman named Jasmine Crockett, and she went off on Trump and a bunch of others for accepting money from Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, I don't know if you know who that guy is, but the rub was the apparent mistake was she was wrong on which Jeffrey Epstein it was. So, man, some people really go out of their way to embarrass themselves. Barry says he's watching this XRP dip. Yeah, going to XRP. So it was just at $2. I was just looking at it right now. Even $2 even on Coin Market Cap here. So that, again, I don't think this is, now it's $2.01, but I think this is good stuff. Some of us got into XRP before it even hit the dollar level. Others of us got in after $1, and some even paid, 2 or 3 for it. But hey, I don't think, and I'll say this again, I probably said this ad infinitum, but you don't lose until you sell, right? You might lose access to your money because it's in some investment of some sort. And I know that there's some cryptos that I've invested in that are never going to show a return. And I'm okay with that because, like I said, I didn't absolutely have to have that money to feed the kids or whatnot, So the XRP dip, man, we have some people out there, and I know a few, you probably know a few, that will never stop buying XRP, much like the Bitcoin maxis that won't stop buying Bitcoin. And I'm okay with what, doesn't matter if I'm okay or not okay with it. But what I'm saying is everybody has their favorites. Mine is Theta, and I'm looking at it right now. It's 37 cents for a Theta coin. I remember buying that stuff at like $7 or $8 last run, and it ran up to, I want to say $16 or $17, and now it's at 37 cents. But again, and I'm gonna beat this drum again. To me, one of the best buys out there is called T-Fuel, which is on the Theta network. It's the currency coin on the Theta network. And the reason I say that is at home right now, I have some of that staked to a node. It's an old laptop I got running in the background. Yeah, I got to pay for the electricity. I understand that. But it's running 24/7. And it's garnering me 7% every day, every month. It's an APR, but still, I've looked at it, it's 7% a day, 7% a month, 7% a year of whatever money I put into T-Fuel. Yeah. What bank is going to give you 7%, right? Now, we're talking about a coin that right now is 0.0237 cents. So I'm sorry, it's 2.37 cents. So it's a little under 2.5 cents. Okay. You can get thousands and thousands of those for a couple $100. Now you need 10,000 to stake minimum. And then every 10,000 thereafter, you can restake. Okay. But remember, you're getting 7%. 1. 2, it works while you're sleeping. It works while you're working other jobs. It works while you're sitting next to it watching a movie. It's still working for me right now, even now. So as I look at this stuff, I'm seeing that T-Fuel at this price is an amazing buy for me. This is me. I'm not an advisor. Please don't take my advice on these things. I'm just telling you what could be done if you so choose. So it's high. It's all-time high. I want to say is, okay, according to Coin Market Cap, 68 cents in 2021. 68 cents, and it's 2.3 cents right now. You do the math, right? So not only do you earn running, or you don't have to run your own. You don't have to have an old laptop the way I do. I'm just running my own. You can stake with others, and if you need help with that, let me know. I'll just message me. I'll help you out on that. How to do it? It's very, very simple. Where you stake to somebody else's node. They've got people with warehouses full of computers running T-fuel nodes, edge nodes they call them. So what my computer at home is doing, just a little tiny bit of AI. It's a brilliant thing. It's decentralized artificial intelligence, meaning I don't get to see and I don't want to see anybody's data. It's confidential, whatever it is. I can't see whatever my computer's crunching. It's AI video, AI Theta Network. The Theta Network, Theta Labs, has partnered with universities all over the world and corporations all over the world, and people like you and me that want to use their AI. And since people like me are running nodes all over the world, it's decentralized. Okay, yeah, Theta Labs is the author of it, right? But they have it on a how would you say, on a an autopilot. So they're not looking at the data. Nobody's really looking at the data. I know it has to be collected in some way as LLM, large language model or whatever. But at the same time, it's the future, in my opinion, of good AI. Evil AI is going to be in places that are underground and owned by governments. But the good AI is going to be decentralized. It's going to be something that is not going to be intrusive, I hope. They're not going to lock down all your data and your information and how you're watching them and how all that good stuff or not so good stuff against we the people. So I'm going to look at the Bitcoin Otter. There we go. And I think we're on that one now. And let's see what we got here. Okay. So yeah, I don't think anybody's up on the Bitcoin Otter one. And YouTube will come out on Joe's computer under the Restream streaming system. Now, as I said before, this Jasmine Crockett, if you know anything about her, whoo-wee, man, I can only imagine what it would be like to be trapped in an elevator with Jasmine and AOC. That would be something, man. Woo, boy. Oh, that I don't know. I don't know what who we got. Is that somebody's hitting up with likes? Thank you. Is that Danny? Could be Danny. I imagine it might be one of the Dannys, right? Thank you. Thank you very much. So this Jasmine Crockett woman is really off her rocket, but Crockett, whatever. But she's off her rocker, and it's something that I think she believes that she's got a lock on the truth that nobody else has, and she's living in her own world. I remember many years ago, I think it was the 90s, there was a riff going around, what's it like in your world? That's what I'd like to ask her. I don't know what's going on there. And then you have this Florida rep, okay? Sheila Cherfilis McCormick, she was caught allegedly $5 million she siphoned from FEMA in some sort of fraud. People are all right, Danny, thank you, brother. Thank you. It is Danny. Danny Rios is pumping up the show. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. That helps the algorithms, and if you guys can like it and all that good stuff, it's awesome because our troubles. I haven't said anything against the usual suspects yet. So the Christopher Ott feed is alive and well. So here's another thing we can talk about. And remember, you guys, we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. That's what this show is about. So Chicago property taxes are spiking. Can you believe that? They've only invited millions of invaders. What makes them think that they're not going to have to pay for said invaders? Well, you and I both know that they're going to pay dearly. Not only as residents, okay, but as Americans, if they still want to be Americans. I mean, I would imagine, though, that over and above the seedy substrata of average Chicago politicians, we have the people of Chicago. And I don't think that they really enjoy what it is that they all right, thanks, Barry. Thanks, guys. I don't know if they really enjoy being subjugated to communism. And I'm not. People might think I'm being facetious or bombastic, if you will, when I hyperbole is a good word for what they believe I'm using when I say that Chicago, California, New York, Oregon, right, Arizona and Maricopa County, Washington, these places are communist strongholds. They are. I'm not even one bit kidding. And I don't for 1 second believe it's an exaggeration, much less hyperbole. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, if you care to and you have the time to revise your knowledge in history, not to say I have any more than you do, but it is to say that I can point you to smart people, not me, that will tell you what they found in their research. Then you get to check out what their research says for yourself, and you can decide whether it's right or not. But where I'm going with this is that one of our greatest representatives in government is also one of the most maligned representatives in government. He's no longer with us, but he actually has an ism attached to his name because the communists were so scared of this guy, so afraid that this man was going to reveal the whole game to the world, that they made a byword of him. It's Joseph McCarthy, Senator Joseph McCarthy. Now, the very interesting and fun to watch, listen to, and look with into these things is MS King, Mike King, right? And he calls Joseph McCarthy St. Joseph of Wisconsin. I like that. I like that a lot. So Danny says we need 10,000 viewers. Chris has great info. Thanks, Danny. I appreciate that. I really do. I think that in the end, when we look back on this time, we're going to see that a lot of people that don't speak out right now have an idea that their worldview is off. It's skewed in one way or another. And what I mean by that is there are people, and there's a saying out there, if anybody's got it, please throw it up, but it has something to do with how cheap it is to be a patriot after the war's over. You get what I'm saying? So let's use our Revolutionary War for an example. The patriots put everything on the line, their life primarily, their fortune, their ability to support their families lives on the line for this idea of freedom. And if you look back into their notes, you look back into their studies, their correspondences, you see that they didn't agree with each other about how that freedom looked. But it was okay, because freedom is freedom. Just like today, I don't know if this is going to be controversial or not, but I would get rid of TSA in the airports in a heartbeat, in a second. Well, for a few reasons. One, because I know that the real so-called, it starts with a T, we're doing so good, I don't want to let these people kill the feed. But at 9/11, they claimed that, it was one person or two people or a group of people that did the evil deeds. But no, it was actually the people reporting it to us that did the evil deeds, okay? The people that lied on camera, right? Them and other people in the shadows did it. So the fact of the matter is, even if you or I are on a plane and some crazy person does something crazy, which is, what they do, I would say that is a small price to pay for freedom. Now, if we lived in a truly free country, we would have more people on those planes that would be ready to react to those kind of things, that would not allow something too crazy to happen. Now, do we need security to make sure that nobody puts something on the plane that shouldn't be there? Sure. But why should our Fourth Amendment rights end at an airport? Think about it. Think about it. Search and seizure is the Fourth Amendment. The primary tone of the Fourth Amendment is about search and seizure, So how is it that we're going to go along with this mess at an airport Whereas it's basically a choke point, right? I mean, they have free will to basically get anything out of us they want, down to the hair tonic we're using, or the hair shampoo, aids, whatever you want to call it, the hair stuff. Excuse me. So where I'm going with this is true freedom needs to happen. Okay. And going back to the Chicago property tax things, and they go up everywhere, right? But the biggest reason they went up so high in Chicago was because, was because they invited, they being the politicians, not the actual people that got to work for a living, but the Chicago politicians, much like other places, Minnesota, anyone, invited these invaders in at the orders of their masters, the usual suspects. And the actual residents of Chicago now have to pay. So yeah, in some ways they can, do their stupid and criminal stuff, and the federal government will pay for it. Look at California with their fires. You don't think they're starting those on purpose? Come on. Let's be real, people. Let's be real, right? The guy, Newscomb, he can't even build a train with the $7 billion gone. 7 billion. Where'd it go? Your guess is as good as mine. It's probably a pile on the street of San Francisco right now. So, these things are not going away soon, but it's a good indication of where we're at when these things come to light. So here, I guess, Greg Abbott, we don't know a lot about it. If you guys know anything about it, Greg Abbott is pushing to either eradicate or lower property taxes. I'm not sure. I'm also hearing other stuff that Abbott is not doing what he should be doing, guarding Texas against, I guess the word is Islamification. Is that okay? Are the usual suspects going to shut me down over the word Islamification? I don't know. We just had a little hiccup there, but as long as I didn't talk about the other side of that equation, I think I'll be all right. That little nation state that was created in a certain year. So we won't say that, and I think we're still going. Yeah. So if you know anything about what Abbott's doing, please pop that up there. But apparently he's pushing for lower property taxes. We'll see where that goes. We're almost at the halfway point, ladies and gentlemen, and whatever you want to talk about, we could talk about. But I want to mention that we're going out on terrestrial radio, 97.7 KCYP, the city, out of McAllen, Texas. Yes. And also we are here at the McAllen Creative Incubator. It's the old library that they have repurposed for artists such as Joe Martinez, the owner of said studio here in McAllen, Texas, and myself. I don't know about an artiste. I don't know if I can be called that. I've been called a lot of things. Artiste is not one of them, unless there was some sort of a qualifying term before it, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with property taxes and how we could use some sort of, I don't know, a use tax, something, a spending tax. We already have a sales tax, right? But if we could get some of that pushed into the local area, man, that would be awesome. I'm just thinking about older people that have already paid off their house and they've paid more in taxes than they have ever for the house. That's crazy. That's not America. That's not what we wanted. That's certainly not what the founding fathers wanted. Here's some good news, though. Here's some good news, ladies and gentlemen. The Donald Trump administration has found 30,000 of the missing illegal alien children that were let in during the disastrous auto pen presidency prior to Donald Trump. 30,000 missing illegal. Now we have a lot more, ladies and gentlemen. There are those of you out there that lived through that here on the border. You know who you are. It's so many more, but it's a start. 30,000. I bet you every one of those kids is grateful to have been rescued from whatever whatever conditions they were under. Remember, the ICE went to a weed farm. So a marijuana farm in California, and surprise, surprise, children were laboring in these weed fields. Does that really surprise you? No, it doesn't. Why? Because communists are going to do what communists do. Commies going to commie, man. And what do you think they do in China? Little kids don't get a break. They're workers too. According to the communist regime, they'll work them as far as they want, because who's going to tell a commie what to do? Nobody. Maybe Karl Marx, right? Maybe Karl, and all that he ever said was a lie. Everything that he said was a lie. Maybe he sprinkled in a little bit of obvious truth that, there's poor people out there. Duh. That's in the Bible, man. Anyway, here's something that's been popping up lately. Democrat so-called leaders, and you never say Democratic, okay, because they're most definitely not Democratic. They're only Democrats, okay? Republicans are not much better. I'll tell you that right now. But at least they don't have a connotation to the name that says that they are involved with something legitimate, like a republic. Well, I guess they are. They're ands. They're Republicans. And we are a republic. So, yeah, I guess it's a little better. But we are not a democracy, ladies and gentlemen. Thank God. Thank you, Lord, that we are not a democracy. But these Democrats, they want military leaders to ignore orders. Yeah, specifically orders from the Trump administration. Trump being the supreme commander of the military, which is the purview of the executive branch. He's the head of the military. So remember when, and you may or may not remember when I've said many times, and it's not my idea, but if we were ever going to take back the country, it would have to be the military. It would have to be the U.S. military for a few different reasons. And I'll go into a couple right now. One of the biggest reasons is that the military intelligence apparatus is not intertwined with Congress. Now, that on the surface, that doesn't seem like a good thing, does it? That the representatives that we vote for are not entangled or don't have visibility over the military intelligence apparatus. That is somewhat alarming, but that pretends that we have honest representatives. We don't have that in this country. I don't know that any country does, but I'm certain, okay, that Jasmine Crockett is not honest. I'm certain that Florida Representative Sheila Cherfilis McCormick is not honest at all. I do know for a fact that Chuck Schumer is not honest, okay? That McStain, that John McStain, he was a traitor to his nation, third generation, by the way, okay? He's not honest. Who's that other guy? There's a bunch of them, I know. Juan, good to see you. Thanks for watching. There's so many people that are calling themselves or that have actually been elected, okay, to be representatives of the United States of America, or the people, those citizens within America, like ourselves, that pretend to be honest, but they're not. So back to the military, they are able to actually assemble a workable operation to retake America. That's called a counterinsurgency. See, the insurgency has been happening for generations. Remember Joe McCarthy? We just talked about him a few minutes ago. Senator Joseph McCarthy, his main thrust, his main passion, goal in life was to expose the massive amount of communism going on in the United States of America. Okay. And I'm going to say this, and this is going to be inflammatory, and some of you patriots who have been as misinformed as I was might chafe at this, but FDR, communist. Truman, communist. Eisenhower, communist. I'm not kidding you. Did you know that there was only one person, one representative on the Democrat side that did not censure in the halls of Congress, did not censure Senator Joseph McCarthy for his efforts against communism? Only one. And even he didn't vote against the censure. He claimed a medical reason to be out that day. That was John F. Kennedy. Every single other communist, voted to censure the guy who was looking to root out communists in America. Think about that. Don't believe me. Think about it and look it up. John F. Kennedy was the only one that voted, or did not vote, he abstained, to censure Senator Joseph McCarthy. I'm sure there were Republican communists that voted to censure him. I didn't check that out, but I mean, these are the kind of things that we're dealing with. So for generations, it was brewing. And remember, Joseph McCarthy was around well before us. Let's just say that. At least one generation. So when it comes to this 2020 overthrow that was done, and we're still not, that's good. We're not hiccuping. Cornyn, thank you, Barry. Thank you. John Cornyn is a piece of Cornyn. If that's making any sense. And I'll tell you what, I hope this happens. And I've got many friends down here on the border that are actual Border Patrol agents. Go Mean Green, right? So these actual Border Patrol agents, I'll get right to that, Sue. Hang on, the remainder were fees. So these Border Patrol agents can tell you some things about John Cornyn that are going to come to light someday. Lord willing, they will come to light. Suat says, can we talk about criminal syndicate called insurance companies? My homeowners went up $650. Holy crap. $650. And let's see. She says that 182 for increases on dwelling, which is like dwelling lines. I don't know. They added, but can be optional. Yearly building materials increases if you respond. If it's not, it is considered accepting and written into your policy. The remainder were fees. So that she's in Florida, and hi, Dad. Hi, Jim. You guys are watching too. So that is crazy. I don't know how we allow these things. Barry says, remember all the communist actors back then? And who runs Hollywood? Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, think back. There was a guy, Chiang Kai-shek. He was I don't know that he was a freedom fighter, but he was in China. And the usual suspects, those that I don't want to mention, so we'll get shut. All you want to know, if you ever want to know who rules over you, just remember who you cannot criticize. And you'll know exactly who it is. And there is one small group of people in the world, okay? They have their own nation that we cannot criticize. We can't criticize them because you get things like, faulty streams, right? And with no claims. So Sue's saying she has no claims. Yet, the insurance thing is a scam. Let me share with you a little bit. So one of my near and dear goes to the hospital. I have pretty good insurance for a blood test. Now, that's not exactly where I wanted to go, but, that's where it happened. A blood test, a panel, if you will. They charged my insurance company for a blood test panel. Your average stuff, man, average stuff. Glucose, iron, cholesterol, all that. Right here in Rio Grande Regional Hospital. Do you want to guess? And we'll go through this where it's, let's see, it's 6:38. We'll go through this. I'll let this bake a little bit. I want you guys to guess how much they wanted to charge, or they did charge my insurance company for this panel of blood tests. It was an average panel. It didn't have any craziness. It was not anything that was referred by a specialist or nothing like that. It was one of those panels that you get every year. It's on your insurance. You could get this, get that, whatever. Now, it wasn't in the place that my insurance company wanted to get it, and that's why it was expensive. But take a guess. Just take a guess, okay, at how much they were charging my insurance company, and see if one of you guys can get it. Dad and Jim say hi. Cooking wings. All right. The game is on tonight. Buffalo Bills. Let's go, Buffalo. Anyway, so this counterinsurgency had to be mounted by the military because they are separate from the criminals, the owned and operated criminals in Congress. Let's look at January 6th. They burned or trashed all the information, all the so-called evidence that they gathered. Do you think that if they had any evidence against Trump, they would actually get rid of it? Do you think? I mean, can we as Americans still use our noggins? I mean, unless you name, Crockett or Schumer or Dan Crenshaw. Smart guy, but man, he's not a friend to the Second Amendment, I'll tell you that. Anyway. 2000 says Sue. Barry says 560. We'll wait a little bit longer, see if anybody else charges in there with an estimate. The price is wrong. Yeah. We'll see how wrong that price is. So, when the military mounted this counterinsurgency, okay, they hopefully will be coming out with some information as to how many commies we actually have. And I think that the commies throughout history have learned the usual suspects, the fathers of the Bolsheviks in Russia, the people that wanted Mao Zedong. Okay, now no one killed people. You could talk about the guy with the H word, right? You could talk about him all day long. It doesn't matter. One, most of it was lies. Two, nobody compares to Mao Zedong, perhaps Stalin, as far as human beings killed on the face of the earth. Those were two atrocities. Two just completely inhumane atrocities, right? The only thing you can pretty much compare it to right now is Palestine, Gaza, the carpet bombing of human life, just because, well, they can. So, okay. So we got another one, a bid 300 from, I believe her name's, well, I won't go into names unless you guys want to, but Barry's wife. So I'm going to maybe disappoint you guys, and maybe we ought to do more of these things in the future, and perhaps it can be a staple of the show, and we'll give out some swag or something from the Bitcoin Otter. But ladies and gentlemen, and I am not kidding you, I can redact some info next week and bring the bill that my insurance company sent me from, or at least what was charged my insurance company by Rio Grande Regional. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't remember the exact amount, but would you believe $7,000? $7,000. One specific test was over $2,000 to perform, according to their whatever schematic, their algorithm, whatever it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not kidding you. $7,000. I think it was over $7,000 that they wanted to charge. I think my final was $79 or something. The insurance company just said, "What are you nuts?" And they are. But ladies and gentlemen, this is part and parcel of the medical industrial complex. If we didn't see or learn anything from the so-called plandemic, then we're really thick as a rock. Ladies and gentlemen, this kind of stuff brings it home. Over $7,000. Over $7,000 for a blood panel test. Say what you will about Mexico, but it's not as corrupt as the United States of America. And I will argue that. I can argue, as evidenced by a $7,000 bill. Let me give you this. I like to go in without even using my insurance sometimes. If it's more than once a year, and I like to go 3 or 4 times a year to get blood tests. So there used to be a place here in town where you can go and you paid $45 for a panel to include for us males testosterone levels and such. $45 it used to cost. The executive plan, it was called. $45, right? So this one was no more sophisticated than the $45 version. But since it was off-label, it wasn't part of the network or whatever for my insurance, and it was at an actual hospital, they figured they would hit us for $7,000. So, ladies and gentlemen, this system is broke. Broke and broke. A complete map. Yeah, well, not only the complete map of the genome, which I would never want them to have, which they could. We could all be, already part of that matrix, because blood is life, right? But it's crazy, man. It's just crazy. So I guess we'll go back to the counterinsurgency. We're winning, ladies and gentlemen. But one of the fathers of the counterinsurgency was Joseph McCarthy. And what I'm finding out now, and if you guys are interested, and Barry, I know you would be. I may have even sent it to you. I don't know. In fact, I will. I'll make it a point to send it to you. Barry and I reconnected just before the show today, and we talked about a few things. But the fact that Joseph McCarthy had a mentor, and his name was Roy Cohn. I think it's Cohn. Was his mentor. As he was going around fighting communism, rooting out communists, and all that good stuff that he was doing. Oh, and he died suddenly too, by the way. Yeah, it was kind of, the symptoms were just like poison, if you can imagine, right? Who would have thunk it, right? Anyway, his mentor was the same mentor as our beloved and the person that we put into office. We mandated Donald Trump into office. We want all these things that his administration are doing today for America. Donald Trump's mentor was Roy Cohn. Are we making some connections? Yeah, there's some underworld stuff about Roy Cohn, and bring it on if you want. But this is something I just learned by watching the, I don't know how he titles it again, but the Rise and Fall of the NWO, which is by MS King, Mike King on Rumble. Okay? On Rumble, that is there. If you want it, I'll send it to you. I'll send you a link to episode number 1. He's on like 28 or whatever. Ladies and gents, he goes back to the 1600s briefly. I mean, he doesn't park there, but he briefly goes back that far back to show you that the usual suspects that own all the media, own Hollywood, own all this, own that, own the banks, Federal Reserve, et cetera, they were doing their usual stuff all the way back then. And then to learn how many of our presidents died suddenly. Yes, and yes. So I will throw that at you if you would like to see it. I just usually going back and forth to work. I listen to it, and it's 25 to 30 minutes each episode. Great stuff. I guarantee every episode you'll learn something about the past, about the NWO, and about America and World War II every single time. And you're going to learn a boatload, whatever. A lot. Yes, and yes. So okay, so we were on why Democrats want the military leaders to ignore orders. I'll tell you why. Because when they get the orders, it's going to be to bring peace to cities. The last thing communists want is peace in cities. They want to divide, they want to burn, they want to conquer. And none of that involves peace. So when the military leaders get the orders to bring the troops in and calm the madness, the communists, they call themselves Democrats nowadays, they want these military leaders to ignore those orders so that your house burns down, my house burns down. Now, thankfully, here we are in the valley, Rio Grande Valley. We don't have that kind of craziness. We got enough craziness. Yes, we do. We have more banks than we do taquerias on the border, the southern border, if you can imagine that. And if you use your head for a second or two, you can understand why we need more banks on the border, if you get what I mean. But
that and car washes.
Oh, and adding car washes. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Banks and car washes. Why do we need car washes? Let me tell you a little story a friend of mine told me. His wife goes to the car wash, average car wash. We've got a bagazillion of them here in the valley, or at least McAllen. I haven't been to the other place in the valley in a little while. But here in McAllen, we have so many car washes that you could just throw a rock and you hit one. Same with Starbucks, same with a bank. Anyway, his wife went into the nearby, I would imagine, car wash and said, I'd like to subscribe to your wash system, and let me choose the wash, let me pay monthly or whatever. And they said, oh, ma'am, no, but you're already in. Well, no, I'm not. I haven't subscribed. I haven't done anything. No, well, you're already here, ma'am. Okay. What does that lead us to believe? It leads us to believe that they are probably, and this is me just, thinking the way those crazy people think. You go anywhere around town, maybe just video a busy intersection or whatever, or go to a parking lot. You take down the license plates and you basically put them in your system. And if you have 10 customers, in reality, you claim 1,000 customers on the books. Are you getting what I'm throwing out there, ladies and gentlemen? Are you getting what I'm throwing out there? So banks for laundry services, car washes for laundry services, and we know what they're laundering. You know what they're laundering, right? So one of my theories about our beloved Rio Grande Valley is we don't get the Trans-Tifa. We don't get the BLM. We don't get all that craziness in the streets because the people who run the shots don't want attention. They don't want that attention, right? So when the Marines and the National Guard and everybody go out in the summer of 2026, because it's going to be the summer like the summer of love in 2020. You remember that. So the usual suspects are going to try their jackassery again in the summer. And what's going to happen is the military is going to stop it. Will Donald Trump be forced into the Insurrection Act? I don't know. But I can tell you that there will be peace in America because the counterinsurgency is stronger than the people that think that they're going to bring this new world order into effect. Now, I have a comment here from a bunch of you. Well, Barry says J.D. Vance mentor is Peter Thiel. That tells you something, doesn't it, Barry? Peter Thiel. Now, what I'm hoping is Peter Thiel has already either been eradicated, and that means neutralized. I'm not saying any type of violence. I don't want violence to happen to Peter Thiel. Please don't. Facebook buggers, please don't do anything to bug. So he either has been dealt with or he's been won over, right? Remember what the Epstein thing was all about? It was a blackmail factory, right? So if the good guys get a hold of that blackmail, which they have, and that's a whole other rabbit hole, right? But they can now use it. One of the reasons why I believe they don't want to reveal the Epstein stuff yet is because they're using it just the way the bad guys were using it. So you got a guy like Peter Thiel, and now they basically flipped him because now he's got to do what they say. So he can still play the role that he's Peter Thiel, but we'll see. Same here with the car washes. Yes. Oh, really? That's in Florida too. Even in the small town of Crystal River, Florida. Yeah. So car wash is the new used car lot, one at every block. You were right, Barry. It's crazy. And it was a revelation to me when I saw that about banks. But I mean, you can figure the cash crop and stuff and banks go together. But when it comes to overt laundering, man, these car washes have got it. Yeah, keep your friends close, right? I get it. And then the other side of that equation, Barry. Thank you. So yeah, they want the communists want our military leaders to ignore orders because they certainly have been, right? So when our leader, the leader of our military, the leader of our country, who we put into office, when he says, hey, I want to clean up these cities, what are these communists doing? They're saying, no, you're not coming into our city. This is our crime. You're not going to clean up our crime. We worked for this crime. All right, I work every day, say these people. I work every day for this crime. This is our crime. You don't just go into Chicago and cure crime. This crime has been cultivated for generations, right? Look at California. You try to go in there and solve crime in California, they're going to laugh at you. You can't solve crime. Crime is our moneymaker. Crime is a staple to us. Crime is our shtick. So you try erasing crime, and this is what you get. You get crazies telling the military not to obey orders. You know, I did a round in the military. Thank God I didn't have to go to war, but I had to obey orders, or else it was halls and walls, right? So you're cleaning toilets and stuff, right? You don't obey orders. Well, for leaders of the military, if they disobey orders, that's treason. So there's a higher order of punishment. You see, the people who really want to own you believe they still do, but they don't and they can't because we are free. It's not so simply by our declaration and on our Declaration of Freedom, it has been given to us by God above. He has given us sovereignty. He has given us a sovereign nation. He bestows rights, not the government. Now, when you talk about, or I talk about communists, those people, they're all about laws for them, which are basically none. And then another set of laws for you, like this insurance scam they got going that you're talking about, Sue, where they want to raise it, and they don't tell you that you can opt out of it. They won't tell you that. All they'll tell you is, hey, your insurance went up, pay us, right? So here's one other thing I want to mention real quick, everybody. If you're one of those people that follows things, and I know you are because you're actually watching the show, we're seeing a little bit more of the WWE going on in this war that Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene are on. Ladies and gentlemen, don't buy it, okay? If there's anyone that would hoist an American flag in our halls of governance, it's Marjorie Taylor Greene, okay? And Donald Trump was just who we thought he would be when we elected him by an overwhelming margin, okay? And the rest of it was probably fake votes. Anyway, the overwhelming margin of Americans voted for Donald Trump. And the communists, I'm sure they got a little bit of, they probably still have massive amounts of fraud. We're deporting most of their voters right now. But the fact of the matter is, they're going to, they, meaning the good guys, the counterinsurgency, is going to use deception. Why do I say that? I say that because we're at war. Every war necessitates deception at many different levels. So if they can manufacture a beef between two of the more patriotic or most patriotic representatives of governance here in America, then they're going to do it if it serves a purpose. Now, that doesn't mean that you and I are going to know the purpose. We can guess. That's what we're here to do, right? Hey, hello, Corinne. Say hi to the boys. And Audrey, I think you're probably watching too. Y mi amor también. Te amo mucho, amorcita. So that is that. We're coming up on the hour. Wow, that went quick. We touched on pretty much every thing I wanted to talk about, except for there's a video, and you guys can think about this. There's a video that supposedly it was Charlie Kirk's supposed killer. If you believe that was the killer and you believe he acted alone, well, then you go ahead and believe that. Just stop watching the news, please. Anyway, supposedly he turned himself in with help from his lawyer and his father, and that video has disappeared. Him walking into the police station. So it just goes on and on. But what I'd like to say is, I hope you have a great week. Papa, all right, Dad. Glad to see you, Dad. I love you. And you have a great week. Go Bills. They're coming out in a bit. Go Bills. So what I'd like to say is God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. And what I said at the beginning of the show, I'm going to repeat. Okay? Why am I going to repeat it? Because it's some of the best stuff you'll ever hear. Definitely not coming from me. This comes from Romans chapter 14, verse 19. Let us therefore make every effort to do what leads to peace and to mutual edification. I hope I have enjoined on mutual edification today. And I hope that we can live in peace for the benefit of your family and mine, including our extended family, that of the United States of America and the world. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your comments. Hit me up if you want to see that MS King series. I will send it your way. God bless you and God bless America. Bitcoin Otter is out.
This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.